Talafalava, my name is Aitui Fanene, pastor of 9 churches in Melbourne, Australia. It didn't start with me. It actually started with a small group of dedicated church members with the leadership of Pastor Eddie Erika about 27 years ago now.
I serve the community, I serve other people, I serve God. And for me, that is the major part of what I do. 3rd generation Adventist. Grew up in the church, served God in the church, but as I continued to live my life and, go and travel, started to see some things that were not in harmony with what I believe at that stage. I still believed in God, but I went wild, and it was during that time that I came out of a pub in Wellington and I heard a voice, and the voice says, "What are you doing here?" This was a Friday night. The voice was not judgmental. I just heard this voice which was connected with me, and so I turned around and I said, "Well, God, I knew I've left you, so I'm coming back to you, but not necessarily to the church." When I came here, called to be a minister or a pastor here in Melbourne, I soon find myself in the top of the hierarchical system. I found the picture that Paul has presented in Philippians 2 clearly says that Jesus decided to be a servant. When you're there, you are connected. I found it to be something that makes you connect with all the people.
So this church, Carrum Downs, it started off geographically not here, but at Ngunnawal. And then they decided to plant their first church, North Melbourne Church.
I've been a Christian all my life. The end of 1992, discussed with Pastor Eddie Erika and some of the elders in the church that we need to plant another Samoan church here on the north side of Melbourne. Now our church planned 2 more mission hubs. Out of that 2 mission hubs, they plant another 2 mission hubs. For my experience, the way I look at it with all these hubs, instead of a pastor doing all this work, we work together to make disciples, and God is leading everywhere we go. And that's how we have all these hubs and everything going.
We have Carrum Downs on the south side, We have North Melbourne on the north side of Melbourne, and now we have Melton, Werribee and Sunshine on the west side of Melbourne. Now we're covering all three corridors of Melbourne. They're kind of continuing to change the culture as a result of the training. You know, leaders got equipped and they realized that there is not one way of doing church or ministry. A lot of Discovery Bible reading groups emerged out of these churches. I think this story relates to all other cultures. And I think these little small ministries, DBR, Cranbourne, and new church plants are trying to reach or bridge the gap.
Another E room. But I gotta say, this one's a mess.
There's trash all over the place. What'd they do? Fire the maid?
And that smell. What's that smell?
I don't think we want to know. Let's just say that something's rotten inside this castle room. Smells like shoes, socks.
Hey, I'll have you know I wash my socks once a month, whether they need it or not.
Whew! Trash everywhere. And look at that little plastic pond over there under that very dead tree plant. The water has an oily scum on it. What are we supposed to learn about health in here? This place is totally unhealthy. Hey, Erica, ask TNB what's going on. Why would anyone put a room like this in the celebrations castle?
Okay, I'll check. TNB? What's going on?
Home. This is home.
Home? No way. I wouldn't want to live here.
What would you do if this was your home?
I'd clean it up. That's what I'd do. I'd pick up the trash and sweep the floor and scrub everything. I couldn't live here.
Oh, but you do. This is your home. This castle, this town, this country. They are all where you live. They are all home.
Well, if I lived here, I'd be sick all the time.
This is home.
Wait a minute. TNB is right. Have you noticed the trash on the streets of town? Have you seen what the pond looks like out by Miller's Bridge? And the air? Some days it's brown from the factory smoke. We're breathing brown air.
E. Dirty, polluted, E. What is it?
I've got it. Environment. Dirty, polluted environment. That's what the E is for.
But the door isn't opening. Why isn't the door opening?
Well, we know what the problem is. You can't be healthy in a dirty, polluted environment. So I guess we need to do something about it.
You mean like clean it up?
Wouldn't hurt.
Okay, come on guys. There are some empty recycle bins over by the wall. I guess it's time for us to get to work.
Butterflies and rainbows, flowers, trees and bees. God made all of these things for me. Everything around us, we call it the environment. God made all of these things for me. Showing that I'm thankful, really, really thankful. I'll protect the environment. Putting trash in trash cans, reusing and recycling. I'll protect the environment. I know God made the environment. I will protect the environment.
Here's the last plastic bottle going into the recycle bin. Now the environment of this room, of our home, will be clean again. That's it! That's it! The door is opening! We're out of here!
I know God made the environment. I will protect the environment.
Ancient scribes, sacred scrolls, hidden in desert caves, discovered by Bedouin shepherds nearly 2,000 years later. Who wrote them? Why were they hidden? And what vital message do they have for us today?
In the 1st century AD, about 70 years after the birth of Christ, members of a mysterious religious sect hid a collection of over 900 sacred scrolls in caves in the Judean desert bordering the Dead Sea. The chance discovery of the ancient scrolls 2,000 years later by Bedouin shepherds was considered one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of all time and sent shockwaves through the world of Bible scholarship. Who wrote them? Why were they hidden? And why are they so important to us today? Join me as we travel to Qumran in search of answers. Buried treasure, hordes of it. Yes, I know where there is enough hidden wealth to boggle the imagination. There are boxes of precious incense and vast quantities of gold and silver. All told, 200 tons of the stuff worth over $1 billion, lying 5 to 6 meters under the ground, all buried in the desert by a strange religious sect. To get the breathtaking details, I've come to the Middle East to visit one of the most inhospitable places in all the world, but one that has captured the imagination of people everywhere and popularized the science of archaeology. To get there, we've got to leave the sacred city of Jerusalem and travel east through the Judean desert. Here, the mountainous landscape plummets dramatically 1,200 meters to the blistering hot basin of the Dead Sea. On the way, we pass the sea level sign. However, we still haven't reached the sea. Although the plaque says sea level, we still have to keep going down and down. We're on our way to the lowest place on Earth. The Dead Sea is 400 meters or 1,312 feet below sea level. It's the lowest place on planet Earth's land surface. So we've still got a long way to go. The Dead Sea is 50 kilometers long and 15 kilometers wide and reaches a depth of 400 meters. It covers an area of 605 square kilometers. Virtually all of its water comes from the Jordan River, which flows into it from the north. The Dead Sea has no outlet. In Hebrew, it's called the Sea of Salt. It's the world's saltiest body of water, 10 times more salty than seawater. In fact, nearly a third of it consists of dissolved salt and other minerals. Its supersaline waters makes floating easy. It's so salty you can't sink. You can float in the Dead Sea and read a book without fear of sinking. The Dead Sea has attracted visitors for thousands of years. It was one of the world's first health resorts for Herod the Great, and it has been a supplier of a wide variety of products, from asphalt for Egyptian mummification to potash and fertilizers. People also use the salt and minerals from the Dead Sea to create cosmetics and herbal sachets. It rarely rains here, and summer temperatures often reach 45 degrees Celsius. It's a harsh and inhospitable environment. Near the northwestern shore of the Dead Sea, in a wilderness of terrible beauty, is a hillside that is honeycombed with caves. This is the site of one of the most exciting discoveries of all time. Many archaeologists are convinced that the treasure found in this area is more valuable than all the gold and wealth found in the ancient tombs of kings and pharaohs. The discovery here happened by accident. One day in 1947, a Bedouin boy called Mohammed the Wolf was minding some goats near these cliffs along the shores of the Dead Sea. Now, these goats are very agile and are able to climb incredible heights in search of the tender green tufts of grass that grow in springtime among the pebbles and sand of this desert region. One of the shaggy goats that Mohammed the Wolf was minding chanced to stray from the rest of the flock. While searching for this aggravating animal, he noticed a small cave in the rocky cliffs that he hadn't noticed before. Thinking that his goat may have taken shelter in the cave from the blistering summer heat, Mohammed picked up a stone and threw it into the cave. But the sound that came back to him was not the familiar echo of stone striking stone. He was startled to hear the strange echoing sound of shattering pottery. Panic-stricken, he rushed away in fear of evil spirits. But was it an evil spirit, or was it gold?
And suddenly, there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace among those whom he favors." And when the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which the Lord has made known to us."
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Shepherds, why this jubilee? Why your joyous strains prolong? What the gladsome tidings be, which inspire your heavenly song? Gloria in excelsis Deo. Come to Bethlehem and see.
God's holy word declares that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. And though marred by sin, creation still speaks of the wisdom, power, and beauty of the Creator. God made nature for us to enjoy, and there's so much to explore on God's green earth. But only in relatively recent times has mankind taken the plunge to explore the deep blue sea. With the invention of scuba diving came the wonderful possibilities of seeing and studying the underwater world. Scuba diving is probably the only way to visit another world without leaving planet Earth. It's nothing short of spectacular. But with so much heavy gear, it's probably the most cumbersome of all the sports. There are so many things that are vital in order to have a successful dive. You need a mask to see, fins to propel, a wetsuit to keep you warm, a BCD to keep you buoyant, weights to keep you down, a tank that holds your air, a regulator that gives you breath, and all different kinds of computers and gauges to keep you informed so that you don't do anything dangerous. It's super cumbersome, but absolutely worth it. Now, there are many things you need to know before you go scuba diving, but you might find it surprising that the number one and most important rule is simply this: don't hold your breath. Whatever happens, just keep breathing. And as long as you're breathing, you can deal with any difficulty below. You see, the natural instinct of land creatures like us is to hold your breath underwater. So once our head goes below the surface, our mind tells us to stop breathing. And many people find it difficult to overcome this mind block. Not only that, but there's so many spectacular things to see down below that will literally take your breath away. But holding your breath is probably the most dangerous thing you can do. It could lead to a ruptured lung, a panic attack, or an uncontrollable urge to shoot up to the surface, thus causing the bends. And so if you ever get the chance to experience the scuba life, just remember, keep breathing. And as long as you're breathing, you can deal with any difficulty underwater. The same is true for spiritual life above the surface. Prayer is the breath of the soul. And just as we're to breathe without ceasing, the Bible calls us to pray without ceasing. You see, when you breathe, you're both taking in sustaining oxygen as well as releasing the cellular waste product of carbon dioxide. You're receiving that which is good and releasing that which is bad. This is the same thing that prayer does. Prayer is the means with which we receive God's blessings and unload life's burdens. It is the avenue by which we give our problems to God and that God gives us His peace and His power. You see, the purpose of prayer is not to inform God, but rather it is the means by which God transforms us. Many people find life so hard because they're not breathing the breath of prayer. They are spiritually drowning in a sea of sorrow, struggling in an ocean of trouble, when all the while the breath of prayer is right in their mouth. So remember, when life is overwhelming and you feel like you can't keep your head above the water, just keep praying. When finances are low and the bills are high, just keep breathing. When your kids are acting crazy and your spouse is acting lazy, just keep breathing. When the current of your sinful flesh is pulling you into forbidden waters, just keep breathing. Just keep praying. And as you do, God will give you the wisdom and the courage to change the things that you can change. He'll give you the peace and comfort to accept the things that you cannot change. And He'll give you the wisdom to know the difference. And in every single situation, He will bring a change in your heart. And when we come to trust God, both above and below the water, in the highs and in the lows of life, He will show us things we've never seen before. He will do through us things that have never been done before. And He will take us to places no one has ever been before. And finally, one day very soon, we will be able to leave this blue and green planet below to explore the heavenly realities of God's wonderful kingdom. And then we'll be breathing in the very atmosphere of heaven itself. And that, my friends, is a world you surely don't want to miss.
We want to thank you for joining us this evening. We hope you were blessed. We pray that you will have a blessed holiday season and a prosperous new year. If you need prayer or Bible study, or you want to be baptized, just take a snapshot of the QR code with your phone and fill out our connection card or call the number on the screen. Until next time, God be with you all.